Hi, I'm Jenny with your messages for the month of November. This month we are encouraged to look at presence and gratitude in a new way, and at the end I will have a reading using the Angels and Ancestors deck for you. If you haven't watched a monthly message video with me before, I'll just briefly explain that I'm clairaudient, which means I receive my messages from Source through my hearing, and I record myself and then I transcribe it. And in this video, I'm going to read you the messages I received from angels and guides, explain my interpretation of them, and then also talk about last month's energies. And as always, I appreciate love and feedback, so if you have questions or comments, please leave them for me. So I'm going to start, first of all, with talking about last month. Last month, we were really encouraged to stop and listen and receive. And I was encouraged to teach you how to just sit in reception. And personally, I found this to be a bit of a struggle. I was working on a class I wanted to accomplish in the month of October. It's a crystal class on Udemy, and I wanted to have it done. And so I caught myself in the to-do list taskmaster rushing mode, and I would return to stillness. And it's interesting, the hardest part for me was not using my phone for that. I wanted to do that without the use of my phone. So putting it down and just sitting in silence and quiet and tapping into myself and my body. I'm a busy person, as everybody is, right? And with kids and Halloween, it really was a challenge, but a good challenge. It was a really good reminder to slow down and tap in. And so that's kind of how I did last month. I'd love to hear about how you did last month as well. So this month, for the month of November 2021, but if you're coming to this message later, then it's for you now. I think a lot of these messages are timeless. And just because I received this message for this month and this year doesn't mean it can't help you 5 years from now. So it's something to keep in mind. It says you need to return to peace. Going back to filling your own well of peace. And so we talked about that. That was a message from September about finding out what fills your well, your metaphorical well of peace, and really continuing to fill your own well of peace as often as you can. So we're being guided to return to that again. The world can feel upside down and the energy is moving very fast. It seems that time has sped up and that things are going by in the blink of an eye. It is important to fill up that well of peace, but to also pause and have those moments of clarity, taking deep breaths. So I'm seeing a combination of September and October's messages, right? So September was all about filling that well of peace, and it's like building upon itself. So then the next month we were instructed to sit and receive, and now we're being instructed to put those things together. Planting your feet on the earth, being present, really stopping and looking around yourself and ask yourself, where am I? How do I feel? And what do I notice? And I just saw myself just standing still, kind of like in a yoga mountain pose outside and really looking around. And I think that most of us don't do that. You know, you could go through your whole day in autopilot and not know really where you are or even what you're doing, right? So it's really about that stopping and being present. This pause helps slow down time. It helps it not go by so fast. When the thoughts are racing and the ego is either going from the past to the future or the future to the past, bouncing all around and keeping you in a loop, you aren't awake or present or fully here. And then time goes by and you will say to yourself, I can't believe it is already November. And I know we've all experienced that, especially as we get older. It seems that time speeds up and you'll say to yourself, I can't believe it's already the end of 2021, right? And that's because we get stuck in that monkey mind, that mind loop of either reflecting or dwelling on the past or the taskmaster mode of being in the future. And mindfulness and presence is all about trying to stop that and be here now. But when you stop every day, several times a day, and you bring yourself to the present and you take a moment, breathe in. I am here in my body. This is how my body feels. Then breathe out. they're giving us very simple instructions, right? Breathe in and be in your body. I think that half of the ailments in the world would be solved if people checked in with their bodies and realized they were thirsty, or their blood sugar was low, or their leg ached, or whatever, and we really were present in our body. Breathe in. I feel this emotion or these emotions. Breathe out. I think we've all been in the position where we're suddenly overwhelmed by an emotion, and we realize through reflection that we've been feeling that way for a long time and not recognizing it or dealing with it properly. And so simply every day, breathing, taking a breath in and realizing what emotions I feel. And remember, you're not your emotions, but you need to recognize them when they come into the body, and ignoring them and gaslighting them isn't the way to deal with them. Gotta feel them, gotta see what's going on. And the next one is breathe in. This is the energy I feel in and around me. Breathe out. So tuning in with, we talked a little bit about working with Archangel Metatron last time and his, clearing of energy. And so we're reflecting on what is the energy we feel. Are we feeling overwhelmed by energy? Are we feeling, tired? What are we feeling? And I put out a video recently about placing an updated version of a circle of protection around you to keep your energy your own. And so it's important to check in with your energy. Am I feeling tired today? And if you are, what can you take off your plate? It doesn't have to be the same every day. And then those 3 breathing exercises, then they say, this is how we connect to God, to our highest self, to Source. It is through these little moments of connecting to our own bodies, being present within our body and not in our mind. It is false to think that God lives in the mind. I'm going to read that one more time. It is false to think that God lives in the mind. God lives in the heart and soul of the body. When you bring your attention out of the mind and into the body, you can find God. You can be present. Because God is timeless, not living in the past or future, but here and now and everywhere. That's pretty much like every spiritual teaching, right? And my guides, they use the word God. I use the word God. I don't see it as gendered, but because to me, God is everything and nothing. And so I don't think of God as some guy in a robe. So I know for some people who've had religious trauma, the term God is traumatic, but, replace it with universe or source or whatever you're comfortable with, goddess. And then I asked if there was anything else we needed to know, and then they went on a little gratitude tangent. And I have to say, this is an updated version of gratitude and a new way to look at it. Gratitude is everywhere. There is encouragement of gratitude at this time. It is another way to bring you to presence if you let it. The issue with gratitude is reflecting upon the day is bringing you back to the past. It can bring up regret. So I know that it's very common for people to suggest having like a gratitude journal and doing 3 things every evening or before you go to bed, thinking of things. And so they're saying the danger of doing that is possibly staying in the past and maybe having some regret. When you're bringing up the good of the day, you may also bring up some things that didn't go well. Instead of thinking about the whole day, think about right now in this moment, what am I grateful for? I am grateful for this breath. I am grateful for this moment to pause. I am grateful for this body. This kind of gratitude will bring you presence and peace. I really think this is a radical way to think about gratitude. Instead of just doing the typical gratitude journal, maybe having a check-in. I know on the Calm app, you can have a gratitude check-in, and you can actually set it at a time to remind you every day. Or you can use a reminder on your phone, but what if 3 times a day you just paused and thought about what you're grateful for right now in this moment? Instead of doing it as a reflection tool in the evening, what if you just stopped? And I thought, this is so powerful. This is something I'm personally going to practice in November. I want to see how that feels. It's going to automatically make you feel better and raise your vibration. And these breathing exercises of breathing in and tapping into our bodies are huge. I think they're amazing. And it makes me feel hopeful for November that, instead of getting into the rush of holidays and all of that, that we can have time for reflection and really breathing in and thinking and looking at gratitude in a very new way. I think you can hear my beagle snoring in here, so if you hear the sounds, that's what it is. But yeah, I just am really excited. I'm going to put a link to an older video I made that's a body scan meditation, because I think what we're kind of being guided to do in November is to check in with our bodies more and let that lead to gratitude. You know, be like checking in with my body and like being grateful for the breath that I have. And I think those really simple things, instead of being grateful for like external things like people or places or gifts, trying to focus on the internal gratitude. And so I'm going to put a link to that video, and then stick around and we'll have a reading. Chose the Angels and Ancestors deck because this is the time of year with Day of the Dead that we're really working on ancestor healing and ancestor honoring. So I'm just going to pull 5 cards, and they're going to be messages from our ancestors. So what your ancestors are wanting you to know through this reading at this time. Okay, I said I'd pick 5, but I actually picked 6. Sometimes you just feel the need, right? So I'm going to go over the first 3, and then I'll go over the next 3. So the first card we received was Animal Guardian. And this is all about trusting your instincts, which I think is awesome, because that was the message of of October, was about tuning in and starting to trust yourself and your instincts. And I think as we practice November's messages of tuning in with our bodies, we'll be more and more confident in doing that. And a lot of animals came up too in this deck. There's animals in almost every card. So I just want to point that out. If one of your spirit animals is in these cards, then definitely pay attention to that card more than all the others, right? And more in particular. The next one we received was Peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right. I think that's a great message going to the holiday season, right? We sometimes end up being with extended family more than we used to, and there's arguments that happen and past that are brought up and trauma, and sometimes it's just best to not be right, just to let that go as a way of keeping the peace. It doesn't mean that you are agreeing with that person or enabling them, but you're just not going to go down that road. Elder, move beyond ancestral patterns. Again, what an awesome card. I mentioned, sharing the ancestor healing, and talking about ancestors, and, sharing that video that I made for the Samhain video. And so it's great. It's like, this is the time of year that we really do move away from those patterns and do that healing. So it's just great confirmation. And then the next 3 we have Winter, Spirit Fox, and Star Ancestor. Winter, take care of your needs. We're going into winter. November feels like winter here where I live and for many of us. And, we need to be that wolf and take care of ourselves and our pack. The alpha wolf eats first. Like, they go out and they help and everything, and they eat first. Like, even though they're the leader and they're taking care of everybody, they put their needs first. And so it's important as we get into the holidays and you start thinking about everybody else, that you also take care of yourself. Spirit Fox, trust your talents in changing times. We talked about how the energy is faster and it seems like time's moving faster. And so it's really important that you trust yourself, and trust yourself to be like the fox, who can adapt and be wily and is able to keep surviving no matter what humans have done to its habitat or to them in particular. And then the last one is interesting to me, Star Ancestors. Follow the voice of your soul. And, this is a time, Samhain and Halloween and All Souls Day, Day of the Dead, it's a time, again, to connect with ancestors. We got double on the ancestors, but a star ancestor is a star seed ancestor, or an ancestor from the cosmos, so a guide, more than a particular bloodline ancestor. And so this is a really good time to connect with that part of yourself, that part that's larger than just this earthly life, and to really let yourself reflect on that. So a lot of good messages have come through. I hope this video serves you well. As always, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate any likes and subscribes. Thank you.